financial markets in turmoil.
What are the root causes of the financial crisis?
The dollar losing value.
Heading for its biggest loss in nearly 3 decades.
Will Social Security even be there?
I don't know.
Buy or rent?
That's a very good question.
Interest rates.
I'm not so sure.
Where do you put your money?
I don't know.
Welcome to the show that answers your questions. This is Follow the Money Weekly with your host, economist, and best-selling author. Here's Jerry Robinson.
All right, friends, welcome to you all around the world. Welcome to Follow the Money Radio. So grateful to have you here along for the ride today. We have a good show. Today, we're going to be taking a break from our normal routine, and we're going to be focusing upon questions from you, the listener. We receive, as you can imagine, we receive many questions each and every week right here from traders and investors who are trying to become better, right? We're a financial education company here at followthemoney.com, and so we do get a lot of questions about the stock market, a lot of questions about cryptocurrencies, questions about Bitcoin, real estate, all different kinds of things that we actually talk about and inform our members about through many of our different premium services. And today, I want to just do some investing Q&A. We have been going through many of the questions we received, and I just saw a common thread that I wanted to address on several of these questions. So we will dive into that. I hope you're having a wonderful month so far. November has been very interesting with the 2020 election, and now we are moving on into the new year. I can't believe we're only 6 weeks away from the beginning of 2021. It's just been a wild year, hasn't it? 2020, certainly one for the books. But I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're staying safe out there wherever you are. Here in the United States, it's been a pretty tough road with the election and with the coronavirus. It's just been a very unusual time. So praying for each and every one of you out there, hoping that you're doing well and, staying safe in these uncertain times. But when we turn to the markets, or we turn to the financial, markets themselves, Bitcoin, the crypto markets, the stock market, wow. What a run we have seen. The S&P 500, in fact, just reaching a brand new all-time high last week. It's hard to believe that we're seeing this, of course, in the middle of this tremendously devastating economic season for the United States, and yet we see stocks soaring. And that leads me into one of the very first questions I want to address on today's call. One of the questions we've been receiving actually all year long. It's a perennial question. We receive it regularly, but I want to address it. Maybe I'll address it first on today's podcast. And the very first question is the stock market about to crash? Well, I think when we think about the stock market crashing, that makes sense, right? We would look at the stock market, we would see the economy, we would see that things are in a tough situation. We see many businesses are closing. We see that the public health crisis is still, not contained. We do have apparently a vaccine on the horizon, and that, of course, provides some light at the end of the tunnel for some of these businesses, especially like travel businesses who've been pummeled, entertainment businesses, that have just suffered. But as we go forward, there does seem to be some light at the end of the tunnel. We'll see. We'll see if these vaccines are going to provide the protection that they claim to. I'm looking at the one from Pfizer, for example, 95% effective according to them, and they also say it's safe. We also have some therapies coming out from other companies as well. And so we'll just kind of keep an eye on this. But the question here is the stock market about to crash? Well, as I mentioned, this is a perennial question people ask regularly. And for my part, I don't have a crystal ball, right? And I think that this question in some ways infers that somebody might have one, right? And the other reason why people ask this question is because so many people offer the answer. I mean, so many people are always ready to say, yeah, it's getting ready to crash tomorrow, or it's going to crash next week, or it's going to crash on December 3rd, or somebody says, is according to this prophecy, it's going to happen on this day. Remember that? We had that back in like 2016 or something. So there's always somebody who's willing to come out and say the stock market is going to crash on this day. Oftentimes like newsletters too. Boy, newsletters are one of the worst. Some of these really big popular newsletters, they'll come out and say, this coming day, December 18th, you got to watch out. Well, it's all clickbait is what it is. And as an investor, hopefully those of you who've been around for a while, as you're learning as an investor or learning as a trader, you learn to see through that. You learn to see that that's just clickbait. And most of the time it doesn't come true. In fact, half the time it does the opposite, right? So one of the things that I think new traders and new investors would do well to do is to turn off the noise, right? There's so much noise around everything. And if you focus upon the price and the volume, and you look at the actual chart itself, and whatever you're looking at, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, you can get so much more information, from the price and volume data than you can from everybody's opinion. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's saying that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Look, that's great. But as investors, we don't want to base our decisions based upon opinions. We want to base them upon facts. We want to base them upon trends. Here at followthemoney.com, one of our mottos is that we follow trends, not opinions. And so, the question really here is that I see constantly is, Jerry, what's your opinion? Is the stock market about to crash? Well, when I look at the price and volume, what I see is that the stock market is being pushed higher. It's being pushed higher by a couple of elements. First of all, the Federal Reserve, which is America's central bank, which is committed to pumping tons and tons of freshly printed money, or actually created on a computer, into the economy. And that, of course, dilutes the value of the dollar, which is why we see the U.S. dollar really stumbling in recent months. And we see the inverse side of equity prices, stock prices going higher. And people have to put their money somewhere. You can put it in a glass jar and bury it in your backyard, but those dollars are perishable. They're going to go down in value. The Fed is destroying the value of the dollar. And so you got to invest, right? You got to put it somewhere. You got to protect your future purchasing power. You have to store it away and protect it, because if you just leave it in dollars, then, you're going to end up in a situation where you haven't protected your future purchasing power. And this means that many people have to go into risky things because you can't take your money to the bank anymore and get an interest rate, right? I mean, nobody's going to pay you any interest at the bank. The Fed, and this is something also that I'm surprised about, to be totally frank with you. I'm really surprised that the American people, the American saver, is so quiet about all of this, and many of the people who are most dependent upon interest rates for saving are the elderly, people who have money, but they don't want to put it in Tesla stock, because they're 70 years old and they want to protect their money, not try to double it or lose it. And they don't have any place to go. I mean, the bank is not going to give them any money. They're not going to give them any kind of interest. And I can't believe how quiet people are about this destructive behavior of the Federal Reserve. They're as quiet as mice. It's really quite mind-blowing. Perhaps they think that there's no choice. Perhaps they think there's no other way. Well, there is another way, right? It's called fiscal responsibility. It's called paying your bills. It's called not debauching your currency and turning it into a biblical version of an abomination. But that's not going to happen. So when you look at the stock market, you say, gosh, I think pregnant within this question, maybe something else that's inside of it is, should I get into the stock market, or should I sell my stocks if I'm in the stock market? And again, that would be a reckless thing for me to tell you over a podcast, to tell you that you should sell your stocks because the stock market's about to crash. I don't know you. I don't have a crystal ball, but there's a lot of people who spin that kind of stuff. In fact, I was just in my car traveling from one place to the other, and I turned on some talk radio, and I heard somebody, giving advice on financial issues and just giving, malpractice kind of stuff. I mean, just not even knowing the individual, saying, yeah, you should buy this stock, or yeah, you should sell that stock, just over the phone. Like, they don't even know each other. They don't even know. There's not even does this guy have a will? Does this guy have, does he have dependents? What other money does he have? Nobody cares in this situation. They just want a quick answer, and they can get it on AM radio. But that's not how it works, guys. And that's not how a good investor operates, right? So when we hear the question, is the stock market about to crash? The answer is, I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that right now we're in a massive uptrend, right? And I've been riding that uptrend. Many of you have probably been riding that uptrend. If you're a member here at Follow the Money, we told you about the uptrend months and months ago that as it came out of the downtrend. And so the market will crash. It does that. We're in a kind of a boom bust economy, right? Where the Fed cuts rates down to zero, creates all kinds of malinvestment, and then eventually it gets too frothy and excessive and people get scared and they take their money out, or the Fed tries to slow or tap the brakes and they start raising rates and they start bringing the whole house of cards down again. It's an old thing that just kind of keeps going on and on. But as far as is the stock market about to crash, to address that question head on, again, my answer is I don't know, but I do know that the market will crash at some point. All right, how about that for an answer? So in other words, nobody has a crystal ball. Now, I know somebody will tell you that the market is going to crash this month and this date, right? But you don't want to take those people's advice because they don't know. They don't know. They're guessing, right? Everybody should know that. It's like a weatherman can't even get the weather right 2 weeks from now. I don't know what the stock market's going to do 2 weeks from now. I don't even know what's going to do tomorrow. Now, I think over time, over a period of 20 years, say, that you will have higher prices. That's how long-term investing works, is that generally that the amount of money in the system seems to be constantly going up, and that eggs on higher prices in addition to other things as well. So when it comes to the stock market, we encourage you to know the trend, to watch the price, to watch the volume, to learn how to read charts. We teach all that here at Follow the Money to all of our premium members. I mean, that's the key thing, is knowing how to read a chart, knowing how to interpret price and volume data. And that will protect you more than any newsletter. It will protect you more than any so-called expert who knows when something is going to happen, because they don't. They don't. They just don't. They don't know when things are going to happen because they don't have a crystal ball. But new investors and new traders, I think sometimes they get caught up in the idea that because somebody has been doing it for a long time, they must know. Look, I've been trading for 25 years. Traded my first stock back in 1996. It's incredible. 24 years, I guess. Traded my first option in 2002 on my first option, and 2012 on my very first crypto. So I've been around the block. I've been doing this for quite a long time. I've coached, hundreds, if not I've coached thousands of people, but one-on-one, I've coached, lots and lots, hundreds. And even through all of that, and even successfully trading for years, I know better than to say the market's going to crash next week, right? That's nonsense. Now, I know there's a lot of people who traffic in that, and that's how they operate. But that's not how we operate here, and we don't know the answer to that. But we will see it on the chart. You will see it. You'll begin to see rising volume and declining prices whenever the big money starts to move out of the market. And we'll keep our eyes on that, and we'll alert our members when we see that. Okay, so there's one question we get a lot. Let me move on to another one. This one's really interesting. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin? We probably get about 2 or 3 of these a week from people who ask, is it too late to buy Bitcoin? They see Bitcoin has surged up to around $18,000 as of the recording of this podcast today. $18,000. Well, that's back where it was back in at the peak of 2017, right? So we're back at those levels. And I've noticed that the number of those questions have been accelerating in recent weeks. You always wish that this question comes when the price is near a low, but it doesn't. This question always comes after prices are at a high, right? So is it too late to buy Bitcoin? Well, let me try to address that in a couple of ways. First of all, I would say it all depends on what your goal is. Personally, and this is my opinion, of course, I'm going to give you my opinion, and you know what opinions are worth, right? You can get an opinion anywhere. I'm a long-term Bitcoin investor. I began investing in Bitcoin, 7 years ago, and I've seen a lot of ups and downs in Bitcoin. I personally think that we are in the early stages of where Bitcoin is going to go. So from my perspective, it's not too late to buy Bitcoin. Now, the way that I like to approach Bitcoin is perhaps different from some. What I do is I like to invest in Bitcoin and dollar cost average into Bitcoin. That's something I've been doing for years. However, there's a buy zone that I look for on Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin enters into my preferred buy zone, then I tend to go more aggressive. I'll buy more instead of just dollar cost averaging a certain amount every couple of weeks into Bitcoin. I'll kind of double down and go large on my purchases because the price has fallen into a certain area. Now, right now, as of this recording, that price level is somewhere between $4,000 and $8,000. And that price range, $4,000 to $8,000 on Bitcoin, represents a 60 to 80% retracement or decline from the previous all-time high. And so anytime Bitcoin is trading at a 60 to 80% discount from its all-time high, I like to go big or bigger into Bitcoin. And when it's above that, when it's above $8,000, then I just dollar cost average into Bitcoin, and I do that every other week. We actually have it set up just to buy every other week. Now, when we think about Bitcoin, though, is it too late? The market cap of Bitcoin right now is around $320 billion. That makes it bigger than Coca-Cola. That makes it bigger than Pepsi. That makes it bigger than Home Depot. I mean, Bitcoin has gotten very big. And when we look at things like the number of negative yielding bonds, $17 trillion in negative yielding bonds. I was just talking about this on our latest Tuesday morning coaching call that we do for all of our Gold and Platinum members. And I was talking about the $17 trillion in negative yielding bonds. Well, that's very good for Bitcoin, right? Because investors now are looking for yield elsewhere. They put money into a bond and they have to pay money to have the bond. So they're looking for things that are going to go up and give them some sort of return. And Bitcoin obviously is doing well in that. In fact, I also mentioned on our last coaching call for all of our Gold and Platinum members that Citibank, a top Citibank exec, Tom Fitzpatrick, issued a $318,000 price target on the upside in 2021 for Bitcoin. So when you think about that, now who knows, right? He's issuing a forecast. Is he going to be right? Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because it's coming from Citibank and it's coming from one of their top execs. Now, he doesn't know where Bitcoin is going to go, of course. But the fact that Citibank is saying that it expects Bitcoin to reach 318,000 next year, well, that's pretty wild, right? So they put out a note to all their institutional clients called Bitcoin 21st Century Gold. Very interesting stuff. So we also recently told you on one of these podcasts that we believe Bitcoin will go to $275,000. That's our price target out to 2025. Now, at the time I made that forecast, I thought, A, I don't have a crystal ball. B, that's totally based upon math, right? It's an extrapolation of the last two massive rallies using, if we saw that kind of scale again, that I would expect to see us north of $250,000 up to around, maybe even $300,000, kind of in line with what Citibank has said just last week. So I find myself, and then I also saw that someone else had made a prediction about Bitcoin going up. I think it was one of these, someone else, saying that it was going to go up, $300,000 or so. And that seems about right to me before the next, real big sell-off that'll bring it down maybe 80% from its all-time high again, kind of like we saw with the last two or three. So I don't think it's too late to buy Bitcoin if you are doing it for the long term, right? If you're trying to trade Bitcoin here, I don't know what to tell you, right? I don't trade Bitcoin. I invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin to me there's only 21 million of them, and people still don't get it. They still don't understand. Many people, in fact, many of the people who don't get it are the people who buy gold, which irks me. I mean, even Tom Cloud, our gold and silver precious metals expert, Tom Cloud, who comes on this podcast. He does his own precious metals market update regularly for us. Even he owns some Bitcoin. I mean, he gets it. A lot of people just don't get it, that they think that it has to be either or. They don't understand that you can own gold and you can own Bitcoin, right? And in fact, I own 3 times as much gold as I own Bitcoin. For every dollar I put into Bitcoin, I have 3 going into gold. Gold has a 6,000-year track record. Bitcoin has a 10, 12-year track record, something like that. So, I still am very bullish on Bitcoin, but at the same time, I don't go all in. I mean, I have 5% of my total investable assets in Bitcoin. Right? I put 5 cents of every available investment dollar into Bitcoin. And that's been our approach since 2013. We've been telling our members about that. Many of our members, in fact, got into Bitcoin way back when it was, trading for $200. And that's awesome. Many of them have seen massive, incredible. Imagine owning something that's $200 and it goes to $18,000. I mean, what kind of return is that? We also have big investors stepping into Bitcoin too. Billionaire U.S. investor Stanley Druckenmiller recently announced that he was long Bitcoin. Paul Tudor Jones, one of my favorite traders of our generation, somebody that I have learned a lot from, he's admitted he's invested in Bitcoin. But you know what we don't have? We don't have Amazon accepting Bitcoin. You know what's going to happen when Amazon announces that it's accepting Bitcoin? It's going to soar. Its stock is going to soar and Bitcoin's going to soar. We haven't had that. We haven't had that headline. You know the headline we haven't had yet? Also, there's a Bitcoin ETF. There's no headline because there's no Bitcoin ETF that's legit. So that's coming. And that's going to create a tremendous demand for Bitcoin. And there's only 21 million of them. And in fact, many of them are lost. It's forever. So the actual number that's going to be in total circulating supply is low. And these billionaires, you think they're buying one? No, they're buying more. So 21 million. And if every millionaire wanted one Bitcoin, they couldn't have it. You start doing the math and you realize this is a finite situation. The person who came up with Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, we don't know who he is, specifically understood the concept of finite and also understood that the Federal Reserve doesn't understand the word finite. They print money out of thin air. They don't understand what it means to have a limited supply of anything. So Bitcoin has limited supply. It's a finite asset. It carries with it a tremendous amount of value, and it's becoming attractive now to very high net worth individuals. And so we don't have a Bitcoin ETF yet. When we do, by the time, let me put it this way. By the time you can actually buy Bitcoin in your 401k, I don't think it'll be too late, but it'll be much, much closer to being too late than it is right now, right? Much, much closer. So again, at these current levels, I personally dollar cost average into Bitcoin. I also own other altcoins as well, but 75% of my crypto holdings are in Bitcoin. I've already got what I want for my altcoins. And by the way, we're doing a really big update on cryptocurrency investing for our gold and platinum members upcoming on our Tuesday live calls. Every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Central, we do a live coaching call here. I talk about the markets. We do a teaching. Been going through cannabis stocks lately, doing some profiles on cannabis stocks, talking about cannabis investing. Huge market, lots of potential we see going forward with that market. And we're going to be switching now into cryptos and going to be talking about those. So if you're into cryptos and you want to learn more, be sure to join. Become a gold or a platinum member, because every Tuesday morning live, you're going to have access to live calls where I'm going to be going through and talking about cryptocurrencies, how to invest in them, how to buy them, which ones we like, why we like them, all of that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're not a member, you're not going to be getting those regular weekly video calls. Plus, you have access to all of our vast archive when you become a member. We got, probably thousands of hours, at least hundreds, but probably thousands of hours of coaching, video coaching that you can watch on every topic imaginable: trading, investing, crypto, real estate, stocks, ETFs, options. We've got it all. And so Bitcoin is doing well. Now, another question we get about Bitcoin is, why is Bitcoin outperforming gold? If you've seen gold lately, you know that gold is kind of holding at an area that it's been at for a little bit. It's kind of stuck below 1950. It had a real nice run back in July and then peaked in early August, around about $2,080, something like that, just below 2,100. And then it pulled back, and it's been consolidating ever since with real solid support at about 1850. Well, gold we believe is going to do well, right? We own gold for the long term. It's done very well in 2020. It's up, almost 40%, or maybe not 40%. Let me look and see exactly what gold is up this year as we speak. And I'm just taking a look here and seeing, it's up about 22% for the year. That's just a rough number right now as of this recording, but that's a good, healthy return. Silver has done better, closer to 40%. But Bitcoin, when you look at how Bitcoin has done, for the year, you're looking at 150%. So the question is legit. Gold is up 20 some odd percent. Bitcoin's up 150%. Why the disconnect? Why the disconnect in 2020? Well, there's a couple of things. Much of the money that is going into Bitcoin would have normally been going into gold before Bitcoin existed. And so there is an effect here, a Bitcoin effect, where people are seeing the returns of Bitcoin and they are choosing to use it as a hedge, perhaps more so than gold. That's certainly true amongst millennials. The tremendous demand among younger investors in Bitcoin over gold. Now, as I told you, I don't believe that gold is dead like Wall Street does. I own it for the long term. I have a $5,000 price target on it. It's what I expect. I think gold's going to do well. I think silver will also do well. But silver is a much different situation. Silver is a trading vehicle, and I do own silver, a core position in silver for the long haul. But silver is much more a trading game than it is anything else. And silver miners, for example, or gold mining stocks, these are not stocks that I would purchase for the long term, right? These are companies that are very cyclical. They move through cycles. And so I don't want to own them as a long-term position. I would much rather trade them whenever they're in uptrends. Whenever I think about real long-term trends, and that's another question we get often, is, what are some of the investment themes that we like for the long term? There's so many different things to choose from. When I think about long-term investing in the stock market, now I'm talking about the stock market. Now, what can you do with a Fidelity account or a Robinhood account or a E-Trade account? I'm not talking about going out and buying a piece of real estate. Just the money that you actually put into the stock market. When I think about the stock market, I say, where am I going to put my money for the next 20 years? And that's going to give me the best return. Remember, that's what this is about. You're taking your money and you're storing it for future purchasing power. You're going to need it later. And so that money that you're going to need later, when I think about where am I going to put that in the stock market, I look at three major areas, right? Three major areas. Number one, I look at China. If you were at our 2019 Follow the Money Summit that we held in the Midwest earlier, or I guess last year, you know that we stressed, and in fact, the whole topic, the main topic the theme was China, because China wins. It's winning. And its technology and its internet and its AI, and if you go down the list of all the different technologies, it's just way ahead of the United States. 5G, way ahead. They're already launching 6G satellites in China, right? They're way ahead of the game. The United States is still trying to dig coal out of the ground. China's over there moving way ahead. Renewables, the whole nine yards. The United States has got to understand what's happening here, right? They're way behind the curve. And China's been working on a digital currency since 2014, the People's Bank of China. The Federal Reserve's still talking about it. Europe's talking about it, by the way. I saw the ECB's Christine Lagarde, the ECB president, talking about potential digital euro in the next 2 to 4 years. So, we're moving that direction. But China is just ahead of the game. It's just way ahead of the game, and it's the number one economy in the entire world based upon GDP on a PPP basis. That matters. That's the number that matters. The one that the United States likes to banter about, nominal GDP, is not a good figure. You want to look at it in real terms. So PPP, or purchasing power parity, if you look at that number, you'll find that China is the biggest economy in the world. We've been saying that for years. That number has been like that for years. And So we like China, and China's doing real well. If you look at Chinese stocks, they've outperformed the United States. So that's a pretty strong area. So we are long China, right? We like China for the next 10 to 20 years for sure, right? If we're putting money into the stock market and we're going to hold it, then that's where we want to be. Another place we want to be is in cannabis stocks. We talk about cannabis stocks here, cannabis investing. And we in fact, did a big update for all of our Gold and Platinum members on our Tuesday calls. We have released our brand new cannabis report that's online. You can go to our website, followthemoney.com /shop, go to our online store, and you can just straight up buy our cannabis investing report. Just by itself, it's a standalone. And you can find out what stocks we own. Anytime we change anything in that portfolio, you are updated. There's tons of investing videos there, our masterclass on cannabis investing, all of our Smart Score ranked cannabis stocks are there, charts, tools, news on all of our holdings, all of that. So you can get access to our cannabis report in our store, and it's on sale right now, in fact, because it's just come out. But cannabis is another area we like for the long term. I mean, we are still in the early innings of this. These companies can't even get a bank account yet, right? A traditional banking account. Many of them can't even get loans. So we're living in a time just before Prohibition ended, kind of like back in the 1930s when they outlawed alcohol for a period of time. We're living in a similar time now where cannabis has been prohibited, mainly due to very unbelievably draconian, racist, anti-drug laws. I mean, very racist. If you go back, I was stunned. When in the master class that I do for our folks on the Cannabis Investing Report, I had to go back and really do some deep historical research on the cannabis plant and how it's been treated throughout time. People freak out when they find out that the first edition of the King James Bible was printed on hemp paper, right? They freak out. They're like, no way. No, really. They freak out when they find out that George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were hemp farmers, right? They blows their mind. Their heads explode. What? You can't believe it. They can't believe that because they've so demonized a plant, right? They've demonized the plant. And how do they demonize it? They demonize it all day long around Hispanics. If you go back and study, boy, it was a terrible racist law that was created. And that's why you're seeing people say, no, we're done with this. This is stupid. You can't throw people in jail for growing a plant. Kind of crazy. It's never been like that. We've only had those kinds of laws on the books for the last few decades, right? History is not even aware of anybody who tries to outlaw a plant. That's insane. So, and especially throw people in jail for it. So we're starting to see some sanity restored in our thinking, and a lot less racist overtones in the laws around this. I feel sorry for all the people who are in jail in states like Colorado and California, where they went to jail for, growing a plant or possessing the plant, and now people can go buy it and they're still in jail. We need to expunge all of these so-called criminals. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off point, but my greater point is that when you study the laws, the cannabis laws, you'll find that they were racially motivated. They were designed to attack blacks and Hispanics, right? There's no doubt about it. Nobody even argues this. There's no one who's even going to try to defend the opposite. It's a historical fact. And those things are going away now, and it represents an incredible opportunity for well-run companies in this space. We've been investing in this space for a few years, and it's taken a few years to figure it out, right? It's a evolving space. It's a new early venture here. But we think over the next 10 to 20 years, you're going to see some household names emerge out of this space. And we found a few. We've already talked about a few. I already own a few. And so anyway, our cannabis investing, I like that for the long term. I like China for the long term. And also in the stock market, I also like renewable energy. I've been a big fan of solar energy for a long time. Many of you know we put out a big solar report back in the 2017. Many of those stocks are up hundreds and hundreds of percent because they've just had this huge rally. It's been incredible. And we're still long solar. I personally own the solar ETF, TAN, for the long term. I bought that. I actually put that in my wife's IRA, a while back, and it's just done so well. We like solar. We like renewable energy for the future. We like China. We like cannabis. We like cryptos, right? But we're talking about stocks there. Of course, we like many other things, but when we're talking about the stock market, right, that's what we're looking at. Those are the kind of long-term themes I like when it comes to investing. All right, so let's try to squeeze in just a couple of more questions, maybe one or two more before we bring this to a close. It's been fun talking about some different topics here, different questions that we receive. Okay, so we just answered the question, what investment themes do you like for the long term? We mentioned China, cannabis, crypto, renewables. The next question here, explain the difference between position trading and swing trading. We get a lot of that question here. Let's just briefly talk about that. Position trading versus swing trading. Swing trading is whenever you're holding a stock for a short period of time, right? When you start holding a stock for weeks, you're a position trader at that point. When you're holding the stock for just a few days, you're a swing trader. When you hold the position for no more than one day, like if you just buy it in the morning and sell it by the afternoon, you're a day trader. You're not a swing trader, you're a day trader. But whenever you buy a stock and you hold it, 1 to 5 days, sometimes even a little longer, maybe a couple weeks, maybe 10 days, then you're a swing trader. Now, if you're going to hold it longer than that, then you start getting into position trading, right? And position trading is actually the best return that you can get. This is so funny. Because I'll coach individuals and many of them come in to follow the money and they're like, I want to be a day trader. I want to be a day trader. And I'll coach them and I'll say, look, I get it. I was a day trader. I did that for a long time. It's fun. I like it. It's also very stressful. But you got to have a lot of money to really succeed at it. You really do. You've got to have quite a bit of money to succeed at it. You've really got to start with about $25,000, minimum if you really want to do it. Otherwise, if you have a smaller amount than that, then you're really better off focusing upon swing trading or position trading. And position trading, as many of you know, is my favorite thing. I'm a part-time position trader today. I used to be a day trader. I know all about day trading, have taught courses on day trading, have coached on day trading. It's fine. It's a good thing. But it's also very stressful, and many people overestimate how much time it's going to take and how much money they're going to make. True or false? That's very true. Many people overestimate how much money they're going to make with day trading and how much time it's going to take. So if you're not prepared for that, and most people are not, then I suggest swing trading or position trading. And I'm a part-time position trader, which means that I spend my time, the majority of my time as a position trader is done in two things, researching and waiting. If you're good at those two things, you can be a really good position trader. Researching and waiting, right? Money is made in the waiting when you're a position trader. You've got to be patient. You've got to find the setup. You have to research the setup. You got to research it well, and then you pull the trigger, and then you wait. You wait. Oh, it's like Jesse Livermore said, all my money was made in the waiting. He was a famous trader back in the 1920s, 1930s. The money is made in the waiting. As a position trader, you got to wait. You got to let that thing cook. You got to put it in the oven and let it cook. It takes time, right? But when you're a swing trader, well, you got to be much quicker, right? You got to be, and usually what I say with swing trading is 1 to 5% in 1 to 5 days. Somebody says, well, I want to make 20%. Well, you can. You can. Nobody's saying that you can't, but that's a good aim. 1 to 5% in 1 to 5 days. Somebody says, well, how am I going to get rich if I make 2%? Like, you can't even get 2% at the bank, right? Wouldn't you like to make 2% in a day? What kind of return is that? Or 2% in 3 days? I mean, that's better. People go to the bank and say, I just want 1%. They put the money in for the whole year and earn 1%, right? If you can make 2% in 3 days on a swing trade or 4% in 4 days on a swing trade, well, that's huge. That's an incredible return, right? People don't see it that way. People just don't see it that way. And swing trading is a very powerful thing that you can do. You can make good money at it, but it takes a lot of research. Again, you got to research. You got to be good at what you do, and you got to spend time, and you got to paper trade for a while. You got to figure out a strategy. You got to figure out what you're doing. So I like swing trading. I like position trading. I've done them all. And today I'm a part-time position trader. That leaves me time to do other things. What else do I do? Well, I run followthemoney.com. That's one thing. Definitely doing a lot of coaching here for our members. I also own real estate. right? I own physical real estate. I like to do real estate. I also own cryptocurrencies. That's a whole other thing besides trading or whatever. I'm just a long-term investor in cryptos. And I do many other things. Many of you know I have a Christian ministry, where we help people, we educate people, we provide free resources to people around the world. I homeschool my children. I mean, I got a busy schedule, so you have to make trading work for you. It has to be right for you. And for me, part-time position trading is great. It's perfect. If I had more time, I'd probably still be a position trader because I like the gains that I can get from a position trade versus what I can get from a shorter term trade. So, good question. Really good question. So we've covered a whole lot today. We've gone almost 40 minutes. Let's bring this segment here to a close. Good stuff. We've covered a lot of questions. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin? We covered that. Is the stock market about to crash? We covered that. Why is Bitcoin outperforming gold? And again, maybe I didn't address that one very well. Let me just add to that question that Bitcoin is more illiquid than gold. It has more beta than gold. And because of that, because it's thinner, it has more upside. And those are the three reasons, in fact, that Stanley Druckenmiller correctly gave whenever he said he gave his reason why Bitcoin was likely to outperform gold in the coming years. We also asked the question, what investment areas do we like for the long term? We talked about cannabis and crypto, and we talked about China, and we talked about renewables. And we have information on all that at our website. If you're looking for research on any of these topics we're talking about, you got to become a member. I mean, you've got to invest in your financial education. Go to followthemoney.com/join. Choose a plan. I would recommend the gold plan to get started. And just get started there, see what you think. And if you need more, then go to the platinum. And if you need less, then go down to the silver. But either way, you'll have a really good financial education. You'll have access to ongoing financial education. There's so many people missing out right now. It's sad. It's sad there's so many people missing out right now as the Fed destroys the dollar. I don't want you to miss out. Become a member here at Follow the Money. You will get a lot of financial education. Invest in yourself. You are worth it.
Are you prepared for the next stock market crash? It's not too late to protect yourself and your family with Jerry Robinson's best-selling book, Bankruptcy of Our Nation, now in a new audiobook format. Whether you want to listen in the car, at the gym, or on your iPad, we've got you covered. Get the entire 300-page book in audio format for only $24.95. That's over 12 hours of Jerry Robinson's economic wisdom, financial insights, and practical money-making strategies for only $24.95. Inside this new audiobook, you'll learn 21 profitable income streams you can create both now and in retirement, along with unique tips on how to inflation-proof your investment portfolio using our own PACE philosophy, and our 5 levels of financial freedom, which is Jerry Robinson's personal blueprint for building true wealth. If your goal is to become a better investor, increase your income, or just understand what is really happening in the global economy, you cannot afford to miss out on the vital information that is jam-packed into this 12-hour audio book. Get instant access to Bankruptcy of Our Nation in audio format right now by going online to www.ftmdaily.com/bankruptcy. That's ftmdaily.com/bankruptcy. Download your copy today and get on the fast track to true wealth and a lifetime of financial security.
Hey friends, this is Jerry Robinson from Follow the Money Weekly. Recently, we have been receiving many emails from our listeners commenting on the great help they're getting from our precious metals expert, Tom Cloud. Gold and silver are excellent hedges against the growing threat of coming U.S. inflation. Who's your gold guy? Make it Tom Cloud. With over 30 years experience with precious metals, Tom will answer all of your questions. Don't buy your gold and silver through some call center and pay inflated prices. Call my good friend Tom Cloud and speak directly with him and get all of your questions answered. For a limited time, Tom is offering free shipping and insurance on every gold and silver purchase made by our listeners. Call 800-247-2727. 2812. And when you do, tell him that Jerry Robinson from Follow the Money Weekly sent you, and he'll throw in that free shipping and insurance on your entire order. Call your gold guy, Tom Cloud, right now for the very best deals on gold and silver coins. 800-247-2812. That is 800-247-2812. All right, friends, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. In our final moments, we are going to move into our giveaway. Today, we are giving away a $300 value gift. It's pretty nice. It is a 3-month platinum membership right here at followthemoney.com. If you go to followthemoney.com/join, you'll see that our platinum membership is $99 per month. We're going to give that away today, a 3-month membership to our website. That's a $300 value. And boy, the platinum membership gives you access to everything that we have ever done right here on our website. You have access to very powerful membership, great financial education. And so today we're going to give it away. And we got so many entries into this giveaway that it surprised me. I mean, we got a lot for the crypto. We got a lot for the hardware wallet we gave away. We gave away Bitcoin not too long ago as well to one lucky winner. But I was surprised at the number of entries that we received for this platinum membership, which means there's many of you out there who would like to have this. And we are going to draw randomly. Let's get that drum roll, please. And the winner of the 3-month platinum membership is Isaac G. from Salem, Missouri. Isaac, congratulations to you, my friend. By the way, whenever Isaac wrote in, he said, Jerry, I love the show. I find great wisdom in your show. And one thing I'd like to hear more about is easy ideas for side hustles. I have one currently, and I'm always looking for more ideas. God bless. Well, Isaac, I love that recommendation. We will do some upcoming shows on side hustles or creating multiple streams of income. That's definitely in the queue. So again, thank you. Congratulations to you, Isaac, and thank you to all of the folks who entered this very special giveaway for the chance to win a 3-month platinum membership. Isaac, be watching your email inbox. You'll be receiving an email from our team here with instructions on how to begin accessing your completely free 3-month platinum membership here at followthemoney.com. Fantastic. Fantastic. I'm so excited. I love giving away stuff. What should we give away next? I don't know what to do. We give away next. I'm not sure how to think about it. So we're going to take a pause on what we're going to give away, and I'm going to think about something, and then we'll come back on our next podcast, and we'll have another giveaway. So we had a nice little spat of giveaways there. That was fun. Well, guys, we'll bring this podcast now to a close. It's really been great today. We've talked about a lot of the Q&A. You probably have lots of questions even from listening to today's show. And if you do, always feel free to reach out to us. Go to followthemoney.com/contact and just drop us a line. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you'd like to hear in the future on this podcast. And also, if you have questions about anything on our website, don't ever hesitate to contact us. We're here to help you. We're here to help you succeed. Financial liberty. We want you to be financially free, and you can break free financially. We've seen so many people do it over the course of the last several years. We know that you can too. And as always, I like to leave you with this final word. This time, it's just an anonymous quote that I have probably said here before, but I tell you, it's one of my favorite quotes. And it's simply this: would the boy or girl that you were be proud of the man or woman that you have become? Isn't that powerful? Thinking about that boy or that girl that you were many, many years ago, thinking about who you are today. Are you proud of where you are in life? Are you proud of what you've accomplished? Would the boy or the girl that you were be proud of you? And that's in no way, by the way, a condemnation. If you would say no, well, then you can change that. You can fix that. There's still time. If you have breath in your lungs, you can still accomplish the things that you have been called to do. You can still accomplish your dreams. Make it happen. No one else will. You have to make it happen. And that's just something to think about. Remember, friends, when you want the truth about the global economy, just follow the money. Have a safe and prosperous week, and we'll see you right back here next time. Until then, God bless.
information contained on the Follow the Money podcast is strictly for informational and educational purposes. It should not be construed as specific investment advice. The views and opinions of our guests and sponsors, including Tom Cloud, are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of FTMDaily.com or Robinson Media Group, LLC. Jerry Robinson does hold an insurance license and at times may offer consulting on life insurance and fixed retirement income products. Follow-up, individualized responses to email or phone requests that involve the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation will not be made absent compliance with state investment advisor registration requirements or an applicable exemption or exclusion and applicable insurance regulations. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You should be aware of the real risk of loss in following any strategy or investment discussed on the podcast. Remember, never do your financial planning through podcast or radio. It's your money. Be wise. Do your due diligence and always consult a trusted financial professional before making any financial decisions.